Hey, this is Chris from Rekkid Talk with an episode of their latest Rekkids Is Great. So, some of you may have noticed that their latest Rekkid Is Great series that I used to do, where I would take the latest album by somebody and talk about it. I haven't done one of those in a few months, and I decided the way to make up for that would be that I will do several of them in a video, kind of covering Niger to Nashville. So I'll be talking about five fairly recent records, some from 2022. There's going to be one from 2021 and one from 2020. It'll be somewhere on the spectrum between a Steve Carlson style, Sunday morning style, and a Mama's record, super fast style. It's not five records in 5 minutes. I'll probably take a bit longer than 5 minutes, but I won't be on for half an hour either because I'm not interesting enough to talk for half an hour. But anyway, let's start with Niger. So we've got some Sahel blues. We've got Etran de L'Aïr with the album Agadez. So this is a 2022 release on the Sahel Sounds label. And so the name translates to the stars of the air, where that is the mountainous region of northern Niger. They are based in a town of Agadez, which is sort of an urban center of the desert, renowned for the production of that Tuareg music, that electric guitar, so-called desert blues style that we know from like Mdu Mokhtar and Bambino. They do what's called the wedding style. And so this is the kind of band that would like play for like weddings and that sort of stuff. I love their colorful outfits. It's a fun listen. I would steer newbies to the Sahel blues, the Tuareg style, to Mdu Mokhtar, who's really the master of it. If you want somewhat of a different take on it, where you've got the guitars, but you've also got some of the chanting and some of the drumming, Le Fils de Iligadad, the Daughters of Iligadad, who I really like as well. Next album we're going to take a look at is the Delvon Lamarr Organ Trio, called as Weiss. So it's a trio, obviously, with Delvon Lamarr, Jimmy James, and Daniel Weiss. And so this is contemporary instrumental soul jazz funk blues mix, very feel good music. Delvon Lamarr plays the Hammond organ. This is their third studio album. They are a Seattle-based trio. Jimmy James is the guitar player. Dan Weiss is the drummer, sort of the Booker T and MGs for our era. I really love the lead-off track on this called Pull Your Pants Up. I've got the fancy Vinyl Me Please exclusive version, number 99 out of however many of these they made. Here are the guys in the band. If I remember, yeah, it's on this cool marbled light blue vinyl. And again, it's instrumental. It's really funky, feel good sort of music. It's not like it's certainly not something that would be a challenging, difficult to listen. You could play this at a party. Now, the next thing I'm going to show is something that you're definitely not going to play at a party. So let me cue up the correct pronunciation of the artist's name.
Tanya Tagaq.
Yeah, so we're going to show you some Tanya Tagaq with her latest album from 2022 called Tongues. And so here is the track list. And let me show you the vinyl. It's clear vinyl with pink splatter. And so if you don't know Tanya Tagaq, she is an Inuit from Nunavut up in very, very far northern Canada. And so she is somebody who kind of taught herself the traditional Inuit throat singing style that was usually done with two women. So she's a little bit different in that she was self taught. It's not totally the way that it was traditionally done. And of course, she was also exposed to like punk and alternative music. And so she kind of incorporates that idea with her punk DIY attitude. She was sort of originally discovered by Bjork and had done some dates opening for Bjork. In 2014, this album called Animism, um, with a lot of the throat singing style, won her the prestigious Polaris Music Award in Canada. I think I became aware of her at that time point. I don't remember exactly where I heard about her, but um, that album was kind of talked about, kind of a critic's darling album. This is her latest album. She's very much an activist for the rights of Native Canadians, the Arctic people, particularly, of course, the Native women. I follow her on social media. She's quite outspoken. Um, if you tell her that the Native people shouldn't hunt seals, she'll get mad at you because, um, but also the things that have happened with the schools and all of that. And don't call her the E word. So her new album, Tongues from 22, is a lot different from the Animism from 2014. A lot of avant garde electronic music, a lot more spoken word, less throat singing. Some of the spoken word gets into issues such as, well, the song Colonizer kind of gets into the whole colonization aspect. Songs like Birth and Earth Monster kind of about being a mother. And so this is a challenging listen, but I think it's worth it. Not the obvious feel good, get into it right away music like Delvon Lamarr. Next thing we're going to pull is from 2021. And this is a group I learned about from Richard at Calvin Wazoo. So this is Geese with the album Projector. And so now we're to a Brooklyn, New York based sort of post punk band. The guys in this band are literally teenagers. Actually, it's hard to pin them down stylistically. They usually get described as post punk. I think they've been influenced by a lot of stuff from the last several decades, of course. I kind of think of them as post garage revival. You get some influence of like the Strokes and Franz Ferdinand and Gang of Four and Radiohead and maybe even a little bit of U2 in there. They definitely sound. They don't. I mean, if I had heard this band and hadn't read up about them, I never would have guessed these guys are like 18, 19 years old. They definitely come across as older than that. The opening song, Rain Dance, and particularly the closer on side one called Disco or Wonderful. Disco's over 6 minutes long, but it feels just right in length. If you are or follow Rob Walker and like Squid, I think you'll like Geese as well. And I re-listened to this album earlier today before making this video, and I think I liked it more on the re-listen than I had the first couple times I spun it. So it's probably, at least for me, as kind of a grower. And then the final album I'm going to talk about today. So this will be the Nashville part. So this is a band. This album came out in 2020, but I just discovered it. The band is called Black Bra. Yeah. So that's a great band name to type into Google. You'll get women's undergarments. And so Beth Cameron, who is the leader of this band, who is Nashville based, she was in a group called Forget Cassettes. And so, kind of the way I discovered Black Bra was I had ordered some CDs from a Discog seller. And then it was the situation where I could get one more CD for the same shipping. And I blind bought something by Forget Cassettes because it was cheap. And I liked it. And I picked up another album by them and I liked that. So I found out that, well, Forget Cassettes is no more. But she now has this group. Although she's no longer, my understanding is she's no longer a full-time musician. So this is self-described experimental goth. Now, Forget Cassettes, they started off sounding very Slater Kinney-ish. They got a little bit more into electronics in their later work. This album definitely, you can see art rock influences, you can see grunge influences, you can see dream pop influences. A lot of the rhythm, the bass, and the drums is kind of Cure-like. Her singing can be a little bit reminiscent of PJ Harvey. The song "Wave Goodbye" is a very sad song. It's about a woman named Jessie Zazu, who was a young woman in the Nashville rock scene who died of cancer. I think she was in her late 20s, like 27, 28. Um, and so there's Black Bra from Nashville, Geese from Brooklyn, Tanya Tagaq from Nunavut, Delvon Lamarr Organ Trio from Seattle, and Etran de L'Aïr from Agadez in Niger.